In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build wealth through gold and silver in 2025. I've been in this business for a long time, and I keep seeing people make the same mistakes over and over and over again when it comes to gold and silver investing. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I've learned, not just theory, but the real world stuff that actually works. This is the same process I've used with thousands of my members, the exact same strategies that have helped protect people's wealth and grow their income as well. Now, here's the thing. This isn't about getting rich quick. This is about building real wealth through precious metals the right way. And I'm going to show you how to set up a complete precious metals portfolio, how to spot the opportunities that most people miss, and honestly, how to avoid the traps that can cost you thousands. This is everything I wish that somebody had told me when I first was starting out. So if you're serious about protecting your wealth and you'd like to actually grow your income through gold and silver, then stick around. So let's get into it. Number one, you're going to want to grab a paper and writing instrument and be ready to take a lot of notes. But what we want to do is have you in a place where you can go with the flow, and as you're writing, it's been proven, taking notes helps your memory work a lot better. That being said, I'm going to start as if you are a total beginner, a total novice newbie with gold and silver, never bought it before, don't know value, the difference between bullion and collectibles. I'm going to cover all of this as basic. For those of you who have done so, this is a refresher. Let's first understand our purpose. It's to get you to be able to build a precious metals portfolio that is going to help you sustain any wealth you currently have, as well as preserve that wealth, but most importantly, build how to gain income. And there's two ways to do that: the appreciation of gold and silver over time versus the decline of the dollar. And that's good. That's buying and holding. And we're not talking about doing any stocks. We're not talking about Forex on gold. We're simply talking about precious metals that you buy and hold. Examples I've given before: here's a US Silver Eagle and 1 ounce of silver, troy ounce. Here is a US Gold Eagle. That's 1 troy ounce of gold. But there's also bars. Here is a 1 troy ounce gold bar. Here is a different bullion. It's a Vienna gold piece. And you can buy gold any other size. Like here's a 1/2 troy ounce as an example. And same with silver. You can get 5 ounce bars. You can get 10 ounce bars. Or you could even get 100 ounce bars. You can also buy kilo bars. You can buy all kinds of different sizes. These are ways to protect your assets by trading fiat dollars. And let me define that again. The US dollar used to be backed by a silver certificate. And this is a treasury note. And the difference between the two, this is backed by silver. This is backed by nothing. Even today, I could trade this in for silver because that's what the promise is. The only problem is I get $1 worth of silver. And that's not great. But I'm going to show you how to buy $1 worth of silver. I'm going to show you how to buy $1 worth of gold. There are lots of options for you. But this is what we're going to do: is either buy and hold physically ourselves precious metals, or we're going to keep it in a private vault. A private vault is different than a non-private vault because non-private vaults exist, and you pay for storage fees and you pay for the service, and you have to physically take your metals to the vault. If it's a long way away, you have to mail it or FedEx it and send it insured, and it's bulky and it costs a lot. It gets old after a while. Then there's a private vault. Private vault is where you can buy metals and it gets put in the vault for you. On top of that, because it's private, it doesn't report to the government. This is truly important because non-private vaults have to. And if a non-private vault tells the government what your assets are, are, they could go in and potentially seize them. Whereas in a private vault, they don't know about it and they can't go in and seize it. Now, if you've told the government you have it, that's a different issue. But if you haven't, it's your business. It's American money if they're gold and silver eagles. If they're gold bars, that's a little different story. So you should check with your CPA on the tax advantages of holding on to gold and silver eagles, because those are bullion, but they're American money, and because of which you are forgiven gains on these to a certain extent. So that could be a big plus. All right. Now, with that having been said, again, I'm not giving tax advice to you, and I'm not a financial planner per se. I don't have a license. Therefore, I don't tell people where to put their stuff, and I don't take a commission from telling people where to put their stuff. Some CPAs do, some financial planners do. Plus, they make a percentage of your gains in some cases, whereas I want you to keep your money. Now, the first thing you have to do is decide whether your job pays you enough money to get by. Let me be clear about this. When I say get by, I'm talking about paying daily expenses. Do you have any money left over after you've paid these expenses? If the answer is no, one is make sure you're not buying anything other necessary expenses. You never go to a movie, you never go on vacation, and you still don't have anything left. Then your other option is bring in more income. Those of you who don't know, I worked for over a decade with Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I use a lot of his principles, and I'll be discussing those here in this training video as well. So I want you to be sure that you're saddled up for that. Now, gold and silver is your ticket to sleeping well at night, because it's been used over 5,000 years for real money. It still holds its value. The earth isn't making any more. Granted, people are digging it up more because the prices of drilling go up, and because the costs of everything go up. It's getting harder to make a living for some of these mining companies. And because of that, you have gold and silver that will raise in value because of their scarcity. So you should feel comfortable. Please stay out of the stock market. Stay out of crypto. Stick with gold and silver and the methods that I'm going to be outlining here throughout this training, and you'll be just fine. Everything you need to do to build wealth. The first thing is get a mindset that says, I deserve it. Okay? Get rid of your feeling that this is okay for other people, but not for me, or only billionaires have gold and silver. That's just flat not true. You can have it with any amount of income that you have left over. Remember earlier when I was saying, what if you only break even with your income versus expenses? But what if you make a really good income and you have a lot of extra? You still should watch the stuff you spend it on that is just going down in value. You might pay cash for a car, but a car loses a great deal of its value the minute you drive off the lot. So was that really a smart use of your cash? Whereas you could buy gold and silver with it, and you could do it periodically. You could even buy it once a week. You could buy it twice a month, or even once a month. Whatever you want, you can do that. This is something that as you get better, you're going to understand that wealth building comes from cash flow as well as assets. And you're going to be building assets. The more gold you have, the more assets you have. So here's what you need to understand first with precious metal is there are two forms. The first is bullion. And bullion is like everything I just showed you. Okay? It's coins, it's rounds, it's bars, any size in gold and silver. It is what we call non-collectible. It's just the metal value. So that's bullion. Bullion is what you see as in the stock market, and it's called the spot price. It varies throughout the 5 days, Monday through Friday, U.S. time, with the stock market. There's a gold futures market. There's a silver futures market. And that means after hours, what are people betting that it's going to be worth the next time the stock market opens up? Or what will it be a month from now or a year from now? There's a lot of ways to go. But since we're not buying stocks of gold and silver, not buying mutual funds, we're not doing any of this trading. You just pay attention to the spot price, because when you buy gold and silver, you will always pay a small percentage above the spot price when you're buying. And that percentage will range anywhere from 1% to 6%. usually falls in the 3 to 5 range, okay? And I'll be showing you throughout this trading where I buy gold and silver. I don't have to have the stock market open. I can put precious metals in a vault even on a Saturday afternoon. And this is what you want to do, is keep your spread as low as possible above spot price. Then when you sell gold to a buyer, typically they will pay you spot less a commission. Now, on the buying and selling, a lot of these coin dealers, coin brokers, coin shops, they charge you a premium over and above the small spread. Now, the good news, when you're buying gold and silver, there's no tax. There's no sales tax on bullion. Now, that's bullion. Collectibles are precious gold and silver in coin format, and they're done on a Sheldon grading scale all the way from 0 to 70. So the best grading score you can get for a collectible coin, meaning it's absolutely perfect, flawless, is MS70. And so collectors are only going to look at MS70 coins. By collector, I'm not talking about the hobby like stamp collecting or penny collecting. I am referring to collectibles that are exceedingly rare, 10,000 minted or less, 5,000, 1,000, even 100 or less on a particular coin makes it so rare that for the millions of collectors out there, they would love to obtain them. And if you're a person who has it, then the asking price should be much higher than what you paid. Now, premium collectible coins do cost a little bit more than just the metal in them. But when they sell for a much higher value. Think of it as leverage. If you're in the stock market and you use leverage on anything, short selling, long selling, think of it in that kind of way. But the safety and security is you always have the base metal behind it. It's always going to have a value. Now, when you're getting a collectible, the longer you hold it, the more they tend to go up. I want you to think of how priceless the Mona Lisa is. There's only one of them, and it's a masterpiece. How priceless is the Mickey Mantle card, a rookie playing card in the top graded condition. I'm going to be putting slides up here so that you can see an example of things like postage stamps going up, like playing cards, baseball cards, even toys like Star Wars, Pikachu. These are all worth a fortune, as you can see on the chart. Does it make sense to buy collectibles? The answer is it depends on how much money you have. The less money you have, the more it makes sense to start with bullion and then build your way to collectibles. Me, I do both. And a lot of people into gold and silver do both. To be a good collectible, you need a phenomenal story. You need historical significance oftentimes. Just a beautiful creation. And lastly is the scarcity. The less, the better in terms of future value. So now you know the difference between bullion and collectibles. The majority of this talk with you is going to be about bullion, all right? So the first thing is asset acquisition. How do you buy it? Well, you become a member of kind of like, think of Sam's Club or Costco. That's what I do. I pay a one-time membership, but it allows me indefinitely to buy as much gold and silver bullion at what we call dealer direct prices. And let me be clear what dealer direct pricing is. The U.S. Mint creates like silver eagles, gold eagles in the bullion form. They also produce them in collectible form, but that's only because third party will sift through thousands and thousands and thousands of minted coins to find that rare MS70. There's a summary of how many of those are available. But for bullion, doesn't matter. In which case, there are dealers, and there's only less than 24 dealers that are authorized to buy directly from the mint. Those dealers don't often sell to retail buyers. They sell to other dealers. That's where dealer direct pricing comes in. The markup is very small, but the volumes are huge because dealers buy huge volume. And there's only these small handful of companies that buy from the mint. Now, anybody else who's a secondary dealer has to pay that price, the dealer direct price. The company I buy from gets the dealer direct price, but they do not mark up the coins, the bullion. They They don't do it. What they do is a small percentage over spot, like everybody, but way lower than 99.99% of them out there, other dealers, because that's how they make their main living. The company I buy from makes their living off of collectibles and not the bullion. And that's big because you don't have to buy any collectibles, but other people are. The bottom line is that makes the bullion cheaper than anything. I think it's wonderful, but almost nobody knows this. I'm telling you something incredible secret. Before we get done with this training, I'm going to make sure you know exactly where and how to contact me to get your membership so you can buy directly from the same company if that's something you want to do. Now, they don't add any commissions, they don't add any other fees, and they give you a guarantee that they will buy back these same bullion coins at 2% above whatever spot is at that time that you choose to sell back, which means you're going to make a profit. Doesn't mean you have to turn right around and sell it. That's not what I'm saying. I'd like you to hold it. That's what you should do to develop the assets you're going to need, because what you don't know, and a lot of people don't know, is you can actually borrow against gold and silver assets. That's right. You can pledge them like to a bank and get a loan based on the gold and silver as collateral. It's pretty darn liquid. And anytime you want to sell it 24/7, you push a button and the company buys it right back. And then you have a choice. What do you want to do with that cash? You can save the cash in a digital wallet. You could have it ACH to your bank. You could buy collectibles, sell bullion and buy collectibles. There's all kinds of options because it's held in a perfectly safe digital vault, and it doesn't even have humans touching the bullion inside. The company buys millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of bullion. When you buy anything, whether it's 1/100th of an ounce or 1,000th or 1/10,000th or 100,000th of an ounce, you still have that ownership backed by real physical gold and silver 24/7. Nobody else does that. It's just period. One company, planet Earth. Nobody else knows about it. I do, and I'm willing to tell you, and I will later in this training. People ask, what is the right ratio of gold and silver? What should I own? What percentage? Should I buy the same amount of each? Well, here's the thing. Gold per ounce is about 100 times an ounce of silver. So say 3,400 for gold per ounce, and I'm always talking Troy, versus $34 per ounce for silver. People think, well, because I don't have a lot of money, I should start with the cheaper stuff, silver. And the answer is, if that's what you'd like to do, fine. Robert Kiyosaki says his favorite is gold and silver. He buys more silver with his cash than gold because it has a farther run up. I'm going to give you a little bit of knowledge here that, again, most people don't know, is typical ratio over the history of gold and silver compared to each other. When you take gold price divided by the silver price per ounce, it's typically around 40. That's historic. And today, the ratio is 100, which means either gold is overvalued versus silver, or silver is undervalued versus gold. I know it sounds like the same thing. The bottom line is, at some point, gold is going to come down a little bit while silver goes up, or gold is going to stay flat while silver goes up, or gold is going to go up but silver goes up faster because it wants to make that ratio at 40-1. That's like 2.5 times. There's a lot more upside potential for silver than gold if you look at it that way in the near term. Whether that takes a year to play out, whether it takes 2, 5, 10, that I don't know. Nobody can predict. What I can predict is based on history. It's going to change the ratio and silver will catch up. So what do you want to have? All right, 20 ounces of silver is a stack of these 20 high. 20 ounces of gold. Bottom line, you think of it this way. You need 100 of these versus one of these. Think of how much volume that's going to take out. 100 ounces versus 1 ounce. So if you're going to buy a lot, probably should be in gold. A lot of people recommend that you go 50-50. Some other so-called experts will say 80-20, where 80% is silver and 20% is gold, because they feel silver is a little more liquid. But listen, you don't go into a gas station and hand them a couple, 3 1-ounce silver coins to pay for your tank load of gas. Let's say you spend $70 in gas, or 75 or 78. You don't take 2 of those and give them to the pump. No. Oh, and by the way, when you have gold in the private vault that I'm going to tell you about as a member, you don't have any storage fees up to $50,000 of gold or silver. And that's really good. And if you go above that in storage, then it's just like a percent. That being said, it's very affordable to store it. You can convert and have it sent right to your bank. So if you would use your debit card, but why do that? You can actually have a worldwide use debit card that hooks to your vault. So your sound money wallet, as we call it, because gold and silver are sound money. Because of that, based on your balance, you can just use a debit card. It'll convert it at today's price plus 2%, meaning in your favor, and bam, you use the debit card. It's liquid as all get out, especially if you do it that way. That's what we're talking about, fractional versus whole. Fractional coins is literally you're buying a fraction of the coin that's in the vault, and you own it, and that's recorded, and it's yours, and it's set aside for you. Now, that doesn't mean they subdivide, a 1 ounce gold coin into like 100th ounce or 1000th ounce. No, it's digital. You get that value of it. We call that fractional gold and silver. Only be done in this one source called the Sound Money Wallet and backed by real crypto in the bank. What's so good about that is you buy as much or as little anytime you want. Now, there's a technique that I want to talk about called dollar cost averaging. You may have heard of this before. It's a very familiar term in the stock market and things like that, or even in crypto. But dollar cost averaging just means, let's say you buy an asset that typically goes up over time, like gold or silver. Well, if you don't buy it today and you buy it a year from now, chances are it's going to be higher price. But your dollar lost buying power by sitting in the bank. That's why the gold and silver is higher, because it takes more dollars to get it, meaning you lost buying power. Because of that, you might not want to wait a year or two to buy. You might want to buy what you can afford now. Let's say you get a weekly paycheck. Some people get paid weekly, then they get paid bi-weekly, meaning every other week. And some people get monthly checks, okay? So everybody's a little bit different. But let's just say you got paid every week. You could put $10 aside and have it go to gold or silver, your choice. But you'll get $10 worth of it based on the spot price when you buy. What if you did that every week? After a month, you got $40 saved. But that's more better long-term than waiting a whole month and then buying $40 worth. Why? Because that gold or silver might have gone up during that month. But what if, and it does happen, gold and silver can go down. In fact, when Iran started getting bombed by Israel, the dollar went down, crypto went down, gold and silver went up immediately. So prices do go up and down over time. And so if you buy every week, if it went down a little bit, you got it cheaper. If it went up a little bit, you got it for a little bit more expensive. But over time, by just spreading out these purchases, your dollar cost averaging. And it keeps going up and up and up, you're always going to be in for less per ounce than where it is down the road. That's dollar cost averaging. I recommend you set aside a budget right now for that. As I said before, we're done with this training. I'm going to teach you specifically how you can add extra income, which means you can add extra gold and silver and keep growing your assets as well as your extra income. They both will keep rising. Now, there are tax-advantaged purchasing methods. I want you to talk to your CPA about it, but I do want you to know that they're there. One of the advantages, as I already mentioned, you don't pay sales tax when you buy bullion. You may pay sales tax when you buy a collectible, because that's in a different basket. When you have it in private storage and it goes up in value, but you don't sell it, you don't have to pay tax on it. There's such a thing as a gold-backed IRA and 401k, and they need, the U.S. Gold Eagle, Silver Eagle to back them. Depending on what you put in, you get tax advantages when you take it out. Example, if you buy gold in a Roth IRA and it doubles, triples, quadruples, since Roth IRA donations are made with after-tax money, then there's lower tax on the gain. So talk to your CPA about it. Figure out which of those are better for you. But it's certainly acceptable to put gold and silver bullion into an IRA or 401k. You do need a special company company who's licensed to do that. If you become a member at the company I have talked about earlier, they will hook you up with licensed brokers to set up your 401k IRA, and you get the best pricing on that too and the most safety. Now, as a wealth protection strategy, plan to keep your gold and silver in the vault as long as possible. If you need the money, an emergency comes up, great. I mean, fact is, according to our Fed, they did a survey a couple of years ago, and almost 50% of Americans said they could not afford a $400 cash emergency expense. They didn't have it in their bank account. They didn't have it in their wallet. That's obscene. How do you work your whole life and not have $400 in cash? I don't want you to be in that boat. And if you are currently in that boat, you've got the oars that I'm giving you throughout this training video to solve that problem. This is why, as the dollar goes down in buying power due to prices of services, prices of goods going up because of inflation, well, as inflation goes up, gold and silver go up. They always have, and they always will. Why? Because it takes more dollars that are deflated in value to buy that same ounce of gold or silver. Holding it long term is your best wealth protection strategy. If you're already well, great. Then buy a bunch of gold and silver at the lowest possible prices. Keep it in the vault or have it shipped to yourself if you've got a big vault yourself somewhere. By the way, if you own a vault in your own house, meaning a safe, that's not considered a private vault. That's a personal safe. It can be accessed. If somebody gets a warrant to seize your assets, boy, they could take it right from you. I don't recommend for people who are risk averse to keep a lot of gold and silver in their own possession at home unless you know you have it hidden really well or in a safe really well that nobody's going to find and so forth. Otherwise, use the private vault by all stretches and keep your money in there as long as you can, and you've hedged against inflation. Example that I give people, I know a guy about 3 years ago. He was a real estate broker and he had millions of dollars in cash in his bank account. And listening to me, he understood quite well that having cash in the bank is not a good thing. Robert Kiyosaki says cash is trash, okay? It's not worth the paper or it's printed on. Now, that having been said, he decided to use this company at dealer direct prices and he bought $1 million of silver eagles. When he did this 3 years ago, they were about $17 an ounce. Great. So you got $1 million worth at that price. Today, silver is about $34 an ounce. It's about double. Whoa. So that million that was sitting in the bank that he turned into silver doubled in 3 years. He made $1 million profit so far. And he's still holding as far as I'm aware. But what about it if he had left it in the bank? We've had 24% of depreciation in the dollar's buying power in the last 5 years because of 24% inflation of products and services and goods. Well, guess what? That means he would have lost 24% of the buying power on that $1 million and would be equivalent to $760,000. By leaving cash in the bank, you lose $250,000? That just boggles. But he did the right thing because he made $1 million instead of losing $250,000. That's a $1.25 million turnaround. Wow. I mean, that's just brilliant, right? So that being said, that's why you hedge against inflation by doing that. Okay. If you want to beat inflation, look into collectibles. Now, again, later on, let's talk about how you generate income from precious metal. For right now, let's suffice to say that you can get rewarded for referring new members. You can get rewarded with free silver. Let me give you an example. Over 3 years ago, I got this very same 100-ounce bar of silver for free, okay? At that time, it was worth about $1,700, $1,800. Today, it's worth about $3,500. I've been holding it for the 3 years, and I like that increase, okay? So this is a beautiful way to go, all right? I got to come up with a name for this one. But in the meantime, that was free. All I did was refer people, and you could do the same exact thing, and you could earn a silver bar. You could also, when somebody buys 24/7 gold and silver through their app on the web, whatever, and they buy from the Sound Money wallet, as we call it, then every time they buy buy, anybody you've referred as a member, forever. You get 1% of whatever they bought as a thank you from the company, put into your own sound money wallet in the same form of metal they bought. If they bought $100 of gold, you get $1 of gold in the form of the Eagles, yeah? Backed by the Eagles. So it's fractional. If you had 1,000 people each buy $100 of gold, you would now have $1,000 worth of gold. But what if you had that guy who bought 1,000,000? That's a $10,000 just thank you bonus. So you can generate income through that. And furthermore, as people buy other things like collectibles, you get residual income every single week paid on that. That's ways you can generate income. What about passive income channels? The number one way to get passive income with your gold and silver is by referring people and getting paid even 24 hours a day, because you're not going to know when somebody becomes a member, but it doesn't matter whether you refer them. What if you refer somebody who refers somebody who refers somebody? You still will get paid a thank you for that. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. What you want to do is build a referral network, people that you can talk to. And before you shut me down or think this is stupid, I don't want to tell anybody. Number one, you don't have to tell anybody what you own. That's your business. You don't have to share that with anybody. I don't tell anybody how much gold and silver I own or what it's worth. No, nor do you have. To refer somebody, let's say it's a friend. I'd call my friend and I'd say, hey, I get curious. What do you know about gold and silver? 99% of the time they say, not much. Why? And they say, well, would you believe that gold and silver go up when the dollar goes down in buying power and the dollar has gone down 24% in the last 5 years? And they're going to go, yeah. Well, guess what? What if you owned that gold instead of cash? Okay. You could turn your cash into gold or silver, just simply trade. It's all you're doing is trading it. You're not buying gold and silver literally. You're trading your fiat dollar for it. And we're in 41 countries. So you don't have to limit yourself to only people in the U.S. You got Canada, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Europe, all kinds of countries in Europe and around the world. And so you just want to think, who would say no to having gold and silver? You know, if I said, hey, would you like to have a drawer full of gold or silver? What do you think people are going to say? No, of course they're going to say yes. Yeah, how do I get it? The rest is easy. So that being said, you can think of hundreds of people on your phone right now. I'm sure you could. But when you say, how would you like a Costco membership for gold and silver? You're going to say, what now? And that's really what this is. Think about it. If you have a Costco membership, you can buy gold bars and they mark it up. It's usually about 5 to 6%. Okay. So it's a much higher than the company you and I buy from or would buy from, because that's just dealer direct pricing with no markup other than the tiny percentage above spot, which is way lower than 5%. I want you to be clear. If you went to other coin brokers, they might make you buy $10,000, $20,000 to get the best pricing. Costco does between $100 million and $200 million a month of pure gold bar sales. That's a lot. Why? Because people want gold. If that many people are buying gold, you know some of them. I will be willing to bet you know somebody with a Costco membership who has bought gold from them. And they could have bought it from our source for less. If one guy could buy $1 million worth of silver eagles, there's more than enough for you at any given moment. As far as education, the company that you can buy dealer direct from offers two kinds of education over and above the kind of education I'm giving you right now. It's specifics. They give you what we call collector's training for collectibles, those precious coins that are very low mintage, but you also have bullion training, certification. You'll be an expert as good as anybody, and that's free. That comes with your membership over and above things I have. If you like what you're hearing and you become a member, you'll always have my number. You'll always have my contact information, and I will help you any way, shape, or form that you need it. Now, that's what we call mentor. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Scott, this all sounds good, but I don't like public speaking. I don't like sales. I don't want to sell anybody anything. I didn't say that. I just said refer. If, for example, let's say you referred somebody to me, let me talk to them. Do you think I could do a good job in explaining it? You don't have to be professional. You don't have to know everything. All you got to do is if somebody asks you a question, you say, I don't know the answer, but I know where to get it. Would you like it? Of course they would. And then hook them up with me. I'll tell them, and you'll get the referral. That's right. The company will pay you up to $80 in gold, literal gold bullion, for every new member you refer. And if I helped you to refer them, you get that $80. What if you got 10? No, let's be crazy. Let's just say, how about 4? One a week, okay? I want to break this down to something you can think is realistic. Yeah? Then you get 4 times 80, which is $320. $320, okay? And the potential to get $250 checks every week or more. You can make $500, $1,000, $2,000 and higher over and above that money that you get in instant gold. What if you don't know how to sell? What if you don't like public speaking? What if you don't like talking to people? Just ask them one question. What do you know about gold and silver? So with this, I want you to know that you always have a platform. You get a website, which is how you buy your own in the privacy of your home or your cell phone app, 24/7, nobody looking over your shoulder. Do what you want. It'll take money out of your bank, let's say ACH, and boom, turn it into the equivalent amount of gold and or silver. You ever want to convert it back to cash? You got that 2% over spot guarantee, and you can sell it instantly and then have it transferred back to your bank, or even have them send you a check, whatever you want to do. This is how you optimize your portfolio. You just keep deciding which way to go. This website I was talking about, it's a wholesale website. Now, if you're shy of talking to people, feel free to refer people to your website, and they will be retail price. That's what they see. You get wholesale dealer direct pricing because you're a member, but they aren't. And so anybody who comes, if they want to buy something, then you get a bonus, a commission for that, even while you're sleeping. So this can happen week after week, month after month, year after year. You get to track your performance 2 ways. One, you can see instantly 24/7 what the spot price of gold is. You can also see 24/7 what your portfolio is. How much do you have in gold? How much do you have in silver? How much do you have in collectibles versus bullion? And it's up to the minute. It'll show you based on spot price, for example. When you're sharing with people, how do you know somebody became a member? It'll show up right there in your website, okay? You have a little, member office area that you can see it 24/7. Somebody enrolls overnight while you're sleeping in Singapore, you got $80 instantly. There's no delay, by the way. This is as fast as the internet. All you have to do is carry it forward. You don't have to stand on a soapbox. You don't have to talk to a lot of people. We have videos that you can use. You have a way to plan a legacy here, because as your cash grows, you'll turn naturally a lot of it into gold and silver. I would. Now, if you need some extra cash, pull it out. That's fine. But keep growing through your dollar cost averaging. And if maybe, let's say you're a commissioned salesperson and you get a big check at the end of the year, it's 10,000, 100,000, whatever the case may be, feel free, buy any or all part of that in gold or silver and protect it. You can multiply your wealth through the compounding effect of the growth that you get month over month over month over year over time. The gold has outperformed the S&P 500 for the last 25 years. In the last 10 years, it's tripled it. So there's a lot of good return without the risk of stocks going up and down. So I want you to think about that just a little bit. There's additional strategies that you can use to build more and more gold and silver into your portfolio. For example, you can convert other currencies into gold and silver. As you know, when governments start printing up more money, their value goes down. So the sooner the better. Gold is positioned in the market such that more and more people are going to have fear of missing out. And if you're the person who can just tell them you can have a rock solid, perfect source with all of the other benefits that I've already shared, that's going to help you greatly. One of the things I'd like to do is take the asset building of gold and silver and turn it into real estate. Why? How? When interest rates go up, okay, people buy gold and silver. And they have been. And interest rates have been going up. So that makes it harder for you to buy a house unless you put a bigger down payment. With the gold and silver going up, turn it into cash and give a bigger down payment, lower your monthly payments, and it's all good. And you start acquiring real estate. You can do it for rental. And then the rent, if it's bringing in more than your mortgage payment, you have what we call positive cash flow. That positive cash flow can buy more gold and then move on. You can even take the gold, as I mentioned earlier, and you could use it as collateral to obtain that loan. So there's a lot of alternative ways that you can grow your wealth. What about international diversification? You can buy properties around the world. You can travel. What about estate planning? Because it's private, giving your gold and silver to your heirs becomes way easier and saves taxes depending on how you do it. And again, I'm not giving you tax advice, and you will want to talk to somebody, but it could depend on whether you have an LLC or a C Corp or a trust. And if you have it in the physical gold and silver form, anything that transfers at a gain would move the basis, just like real estate. If you bought your house that you're living in and it went up in value and you will it to your heirs, then the cost gets adjusted to today's value and they don't have to pay tax on that gain. This is wonderful stuff. Talk to your CPA about it. Really think strongly about setting up a corporation for the purposes of buying gold and silver, or for the purposes of taking your referral income and reinvesting it. There's corporate tax strategies that save a lot of money as well. Look, I've given you a lot of information to work with here, and honestly, this stuff works. I've seen it work for thousands of people over the years, and now you have a choice to make. You can try to figure all this out on your own. Here's the reality. You're gonna make mistakes, expensive ones, or you can work with someone who's been doing this for years, who's helped over 1,000 people build real wealth through precious metals as well as positive monthly cash flow. So I'm already involved in solving these problems. I've done it for myself and I've done it for people over the years, and I know what you're going to run into. If you're not already building wealth through gold and silver, you probably need some guidance. That's why I want you to click on the first link below this video. It's in order for you to book a free consultation strategy call with me. This isn't for everyone. It's for people who are serious about doing this right the very first time. If that sounds like you, book a strategy session call with me. It's absolutely free, and I'll tell you what you need to know. If this video helped you, please smash the like button. That way you can come back and watch it over and over again, and it's easy to find for you. Also, I would like you to subscribe, and that way you'll hear all of the videos that I put out on gold and silver, precious metals investing. I look forward to seeing you next time.